Hello everyone, and welcome to this next webinar in our IBM Maximo and IBM Control Desk webinar series. Today it's about configuring work centers. So the topics for today would be, first we take a look at the administration work center. Then we take a look at work center configuration. Then I have some helpful URLs put on the slide, and also why should you configure work centers and what more can we expect. So the first topic, Administration Work Center, is actually a very new work center. And we can see right here how to access it and how to open it. If you go to the equally called module, Administration, you can see down below here the work center itself, which is the same name as the module which is in. And if we click on that one, you will see that the work center has this kind of opening screen where you basically have two options. You have the integration option, which I'm showing now. This is part of the integration framework of IBM Maximo, where you can create message templates and API keys, for example. And the second part, which we can see on top here, is service request configuration. And this is actually a very interesting one because before, and I will explain what it does of course, but before we had to do this in the back end of IBM Maximo, which was a little bit inefficient, was not really quick and easy to do. Well, IBM made something for this which made it actually very easy and efficient to create those categories, subcategories, and attached issues. So this is what I'm showing also at the moment. So we can see on top here, I have a little plus icon with next to category. And you can see I already have a couple of categories here, but for this demo, I want to create a new one. So I click on the plus icon here, and then it will see like this. Then a new one comes up in green, and you have the possibility to enter a description for this new one. So in this case, I chose to do HVAC systems. And when I'm done with that, I can click on the save icon here. But also, of course, we can see the picture icon here where I also can click on. And then it will bring me to this next screen where I have the possibility to upload an image and also crop this image to how I want it to be. So you can work a little bit with it. You can zoom in, zoom out, and when you're done and you're satisfied with the picture, you just click done, and that's the picture that will be used for this category. So if I go to the next screen, you will see that this picture now has also here has been saved for this category. Well, I did a couple of steps in between already. So I also created in the same way some subcategories. So you can see here, I've created an indoor unit, subcategory, outdoor unit, and also refrigerant pipe. And this works basically the same way. So you give it a description and you give it a proper image if you want that. But then on the right side here, we also have, of course, the issues which are attached to those categories, and which the requesters can search from and can choose a certain issue from. So I have 4 set up here already. So the air quality is not good. I've some mount failure, motor failure, or the electrical subsystem failure. And what's interesting is that next to this buttons we already know, of course, of the former category ones, I also have this icon where I can click on, and then I have the possibility to add follow-up questions. And this is how that will look. So I get this screen and I have the possibility to add new follow-up questions or add to choose from questions that are already there. But this is made so that you can ask the requester a couple of questions so that the problem, the issue is clear, as much as clear, and to the administrator who's going to work with this request. So it takes less time to figure out what exactly is wrong and how to solve it. So when I click on add new here on the left side, you will see that I get this lookup on the right side where I can choose from already existing attributes, but also create a new attribute. So I click on Add Attribute, and I want to create a new one right now. So when I click on Add Attribute, I get this little dialog where I have the possibility to fill in an attribute ID, to fill in the description of the question, and that's an important one, of course, because that's actually what the requester will see. Then I can choose for a certain data type, so I can say alphanumeric or numeric, and I have the possibility to select a domain, and this could be everything, of course. For you, all of you that already know Maximo, I can create a lot of domains which I can use in this case for this question. So in this case, it's only a temperature question, so they have to fill in just an amount of what the temperature is at the moment. So when I click on Save, I will see that my question has entered here. So what's the temperature? And I set this one to required. And you can see already also I did a couple of steps before where I also added 2 other questions. So does the air has a certain smell, and does the display indicate a certain error number? And for this one, and we will see it later, I've actually added a domain also. And on the right side you can see for this particular question, you can also enter some instructions with some fonts to it, and with some colors if you want that. So and I said in this case that just please answer the following questions so we can get a better picture of the problem. So this is actually what you can do with this new functionality, and it's already good to tell you guys that it's only available in the latest version of IBM Maximo at the moment, which is 7.6.1.1. But yeah, these are some really exciting new functionalities added to this administration work center. So when I click on Done, I'm actually finished with my demo of that part. And of course, I also wanted to show the result of the configuration that I've just shown. So I just set it up, and now I'm going to log in into the service requests work center to show you how that's looking in the work center itself. So here I have my new created category. So here we see it, HVAC systems with the picture I put on it. And when I click on that one, we should get, of course, also I should get the subcategories, and there they are. So the indoor unit, the outdoor unit, and the refrigerant pipe. And in this case, I've added the follow-up questions to the indoor unit subcategory. So I'm going to click on that one. But yeah, here we can perfectly see the how it's looking in the service request work center, what I've just created in the administration work center. So I click on indoor unit. And then, of course, I go to the next screen where I have the possibility to select one of the issues that's attached with that subcategory. So in this case, I select air quality is not good, and I click on next. And then I get this additional details part where actually the follow-up questions will be shown that I've just created. So here we can see, does this display indicate a certain error number? Does the air have a certain smell? And what's the temperature? And you can see for the above one, so for the error number question, there is actually a magnifier glass there, and that's because, of course, I selected a domain for this question. And when I click on the magnifier glass, you will easily also get the lookup on the right side with the values of that domain, and I can easily select one from here. If I have a lot of values, I can also search for one, but in this case there are only 4, and I choose to select error number 103, which is clean filters. So I select that one, and also you can see the instructions that I've entered for those follow-up questions. So those are also shown here, of course. And yeah, the rest of the questions I've answered them, and I'm going to proceed by clicking next. Also, some new functionality to the service request functionality I wanted to show you in this webinar is the affected person. So here you can actually now change the affected person, because by default it will select the person who's been logging in at the moment, so who's logged in, so the person itself. But yeah, you have the possibility, if you create a request for someone else, to change the affected person here. But in this case, I'll leave it as it is, and I click on next. I directly go through, I skip a couple of steps we already know by selecting the asset and stuff like that, but I wanted to show, of course, the the functionality about what I've just added in the Administration Work Center. And here actually we can see that. So there is added some section down below here in the requested service request. And here we can see some details about the issue. So I can see the category, in this case indoor unit, because in this case it makes sense that it only shows the subcategory, of course. And I can see the instruction, but most important, of course, I can see the additional details. So I can see exactly the questions and the responses that the requester gave to it. So that's what I wanted to show about this new functionality, and also the way of setting up those categories and follow-up questions in a very easy way, as we were known to do it before, because it was via the back end with the classifications and also with the ticket templates. And of course that wasn't that convenient, but yeah, they luckily have made it a lot easier by adding it to the Administration Work Center. So that directly brings us to our next topic, which is Work Center configuration. And well, we will see in a minute that this is not a Work Center itself. It's actually a functionality that's built into two of the work centers at the moment. And those two work centers are work supervision and work execution. That are the only two work centers at the moment where they have built in this functionality. And this functionality, what it actually does, it will give you on the right side above here, it will give you this pencil. And if you click on that pencil, you will actually activate the design mode for this particular work center. You can see I'm now at the Work Supervision Work Center. So you just open the Work Supervision Work Center, and when you see the pencil, you have the proper authorizations, then you can activate the design mode. Now you can see when I've clicked on the pencil, then the design mode is activated. You can also see it here in the yellow box. Design mode is on, and then it gives you a screen actually with a couple of components where you can click on, and that are actually also the components which you can change at the moment. So in this case, I'm clicking, for example, on this one where the normal name of IBM Maximo Asset Management always is shown. I can actually change that. So I click on it. It makes it clear to me with this this yellow box around it. So I can when I click on it, it will give me this dialog, and there I actually can change the header and also the display name of the work center itself. So if I'm not really satisfied with work supervision, or I have called my role a little bit differently, I can change the name of the work center in here. So by clicking save, that's just done. But if we go a little bit further, then you also can see with, of course, the columns I have on this work center, the 4 columns, you can actually change all of them by clicking also, for example, down below here, you can see my mouse. When you click on the column, it will give you also a next dialog where you get the design work panel. And the design work panel gives you actually the possibility to, for example, define a different query for this column. So this is the monitor work column, and here I can see the default where class basically, which has been set up for this column. And here I can make some changes, and you can do it in different ways. You can do it as an object structure query or a saved query, which is already in the system, for example. So here you can do stuff like this, and you can also test the query. So if you change the query, or you made a whole new one, you can test it. So you have to make sure, of course, that that the query is working. And you can also, for example, you can see the little button here, display. If you switch this off, then the whole column won't be displayed anymore. So if it doesn't make sense for you to have this column in your organization, you can just hide it, for example. And so that are a couple of possibilities you have here. You can get some help here. You have this nice button where you can get this navigator, which is helping you to set up a proper query. So yeah, there's interesting stuff you can do here for changing this column, for example, and of course also the name of the column can be changed. So, and when you're done with that, you just click save again, and the changes will be saved for this column. It's not only the changes to the column which you can do here, but also you can change some things to the card which is showing. And you can see that it's now showing some empty card, basically with all the technical names of the fields which are in there. And if I keep my mouse on the card itself, you can open the design card dialog. That will look like this, where you get a dialog with all the fields which are shown at the moment on the card. On the right side, you can see also the two options, or the two functionalities actually, which are shown with the pictures. So in this case, the owner person with the first and last name, or the owner group, which has been selected at the moment, or which you can select for this card. And you can actually change the fields here, and it's important to know that you only can swap actually the field which is at the moment by default shown here. So for example, scheduled finish, and you can swap it for another field which one you like to be shown instead. So it could be a custom field, or a field that's already in the table, but which makes more sense to you to have it there, and you can swap it. So you can't create, or sorry, add another field to this. So you have, at the moment, you are limited to the amount of fields which are shown, and you can only swap them for another one. And you get a little bit help by that. So it's showing the objects here, which are in this case connected to this one. Also the relationship, if there is one applicable, and also on the right side, of course, the fields itself, where you can select one from, and it's just drag and drop. And you have also some other options, searching here, or only show required database fields. And this actually gives you the possibility to design the card just the way you want it. And also it are some buttons you can click on. In this case, you can also see here the priority on top. If you want there, for example, the status or something else, then you can also change that one. And by clicking save, of course, the changes are saved, and you proceed to the next screen. Then you also have this nice icon above here, and when you click on that one, you can actually see that the work centers, the design work centers, or the work center configuration, as you will call it, also is working with revisions. And that's interesting to know, of course, because you can always make a revision or go back to the revision before when you're not completely satisfied with it. And also you have the possibility to save it in between as a draft. So you don't exactly at that moment have to publish the work center or the changes you already did as the active work center at that moment. But when you are totally satisfied with the change you did, you click on publish as active work center, and then the changes will be published, and it will be actually the active work center from that moment on. So when I'm done here, I click exit design, and then actually I'm out of the configuring functionality, so about design mode. And you can do all those changes in a sort of same way also for the work execution work center, as I told you before. So it works actually in the same way. You have the pencil on top here. When you click on it, you activate the design mode, and you can actually change the sort of same things. So on the work supervision, you had the columns, but in this case you have the basically the filters on top. So the today, tomorrow, the next 3 to 5 days. And that works a little bit the same way as the columns. And of course, you also have the cards here, where you also can click on and change the cards for this particular work center. So that's good to know. That's also for this work center. And again, it's only for those two, so only for work supervision and work execution in this version, in 7.6.1.1. So then it brings me to the third topic of today. I've put some helpful URLs together on a slide about this about the topics of today, and I also have another slide in this topic. So first, the helpful URLs. You can click on the links to get more information actually about the things shown in today's webinar, and it's interesting to read something more about it because it's rather new, of course, and it's quite easy to use as you saw, but it's always good to know that there's some more information to read about it. So yeah, take a look at those URLs. They will all bring you to the Knowledge Center, where actually is a lot of interesting information, and it's good to know about. And then also I've added this slide. So why should you configure work centers? And the first one, well, I actually told it already a bit. It's the ease of use really makes it interesting to configure the work centers to the way you want it, because they've made it as easy as I've shown it. So you can get actually a canvas where you can quickly change some field with other available fields that are there, or custom fields which you want to have there. And yeah, they really made it easy to drag and drop on the canvas. So yeah, ease of use is actually one of them to why you should configure the work centers. And you can also make it as easy as possible for the end user, of course. Make sure that they have all the information they need for their role in your organization at the moment. So it's not the default fields they want to see, but they want to see some other fields, for example, by making it as easy as possible for them. Well, of course, I already told a couple of times, but you have the possibility to use your own fields, which was limited before, of course. You only could work with the standard IBM Maximo fields, but now you actually have the possibility to swap out a default field for one of your own custom fields, and which is causing then into that you align with the organization standard. So you can actually configure the work centers in a way that it's better fitting to your organization standard. And last but not least, of course, the one I showed at first, the add categories and follow-up questions. You can now quickly and easily change that and also set it up for the service request work center. And as I told already before, before this version, before 7611, that actually had to be done in the back office of IBM Maximo, actually in the back end, and now you can do it in the work center as easy as I showed it. So these are a couple of points what I was thinking of by the question, why should you actually configure work centers? And then we already go to the last topic of today. What more can we expect on the part of work centers? And of course, keep in mind the disclaimer that all the future information IBM is sharing, it could be that it's not 100% as it's shown at the moment on the screen. But what's interesting to see is that for the second half of 2020, there, of course, also work centers is a part of the new version, which will be expected to come out at that moment. And we will see in the next slide what interesting new features it will bring for the work centers, because it's easy to tell that IBM is developing and focusing really hard on those work centers in the last couple of versions of IBM Maximo. And here actually we can see what work center updates are planned for the third quarter of this year. And we can see some interesting stuff here, of course. First, the general enhancements for all work centers. So automation scripts, we already see them now to be used at the inspection work center. So to conduct an inspection, you have the possibility to use automation scripts, for example, by to be able to create a work order directly when some inspection point is not okay. They are generally adding them to more work centers. and to work with the Maximo business objects, attributes, conditions, and actions. So you can do more automated stuff with the automation scripts. Yeah, then you have also, very important of course, the usability enhancements with a part of the performance improvements for mobile devices such as tablets and cell phones, of course. And performance improvements are always very important, of course, because yeah, we all want to have a very fast working UI, and it's always good that they can improve that. Also, a couple of updates for the inventory work center, which is also new in this version of Maximo. And yeah, they're actually going to add more stuff to that. So scanning barcodes, you can see there, reconcile inventory balances, which is not at the moment in the work center. Also picking and staging down below here. And also more places to scan a barcode. So that you have in all those different screens on the work center, you have the possibility to scan a barcode, which is of course which happens a lot in an inventory storeroom kind of place. And then on the right side, of course, the work supervision and work execution work center also get a lot of updates. For example, by adding crews to work order assignments, ability to report downtime and uptime for one or more assets using a toggle switch. So in this case, you only can do it for the asset itself on the work order, but then you also have the possibility in the next version to do it for more assets. Yeah, also update meter readings for multiple assets, so you can see that they're planning and working on giving possibilities to do actions for multiple records instead of only for one record. And also with a thing we're missing already in those work centers was multi-asset location table support. And yeah, it seems to be that they also want to add that one in the next version. And then also another interesting one, of course, the URL attachments, which at the moment we only have the possibility to use only documents or stuff like that. But of course, for Maximo, we know that you also can attach URLs, and it seems to be that also in the next version, they make it possible to also attach URLs and straight from the work center. And also the last one, there are some search request configuration would come for guest users to use. So that's also an interesting part. And that already brings me to the end of this webinar, where of course I again want to ask some attention for our next webinar, which is about IBM Maximo itself, introduction of Maximo as a maintenance management system, which will be on Thursday the 9th of July at this exact same time as today. And also take a look at our website for any upcoming events which we are planning occasionally. So for now, I want to thank everybody who's attended today in this webinar, and of course, we will hope to see you on our next webinar. And if you have any questions, reach out to us, and we will be happy to help you. Thank you.